YouTube, what is good? Today we're going to be doing a nice mid taper. We're going to knock down the top to 1.5 and get my man right. So let's get to it. Alright y'all, what is good? Today we're going to start off this haircut by combing out his hair. And as you can see, it hasn't been too long. This client comes every week, but I'm going to show you how to freshen up his taper and knock down the top. So I combed it all out, and now I'm going to take it down to the one guard with the lever all the way open. And the reason you want to go ahead and comb it out first is because you want to elevate the hair off of the scalp. So when the clipper comes through with the guard, it can feed through it nicely, and you ensure a nice and even cut. So you'll see we're just doing some cleanup work. Our goal here is to make sure that it's nice and basically smoothed down but still dark. He doesn't want there to be, you know, too many light spots. So we want to keep this nice and full, but at the same time, you know, tight and close to the head as well. And now we're just continuing to work with that one guard, making sure that we got it all the same length. And you see in the back, I found where his crown was. And I'm being sure to follow the growth pattern of the hair because I don't want to cut against it, because what that'll do is create a patch in the hair and a light spot in the hair that'll ruin the whole haircut, you know, and we definitely don't want to do that. So right here on this side, I don't know if you guys can tell, his hair towards the front temple area kind of grows back towards the ear. So even when we're knocking the hair down, we're paying close attention to it. And you'll notice when doing the taper as well that it causes a little bit more trouble, and I'll show you guys how I dealt with that when we get there. And now we're going to come in with our trimmer at the end of the eyebrow and start creating our bald line, and then we're going to go all the way to where the ear connects to the head. And like I said, this client came in last week, but we're just freshening up the taper. So I'm making sure I have a nice clean bald line that I can see. And we're going to shave everything under it off. And the reason we want to give it that round burst shape is because it's going to allow us to keep the edges of the lineup dark and really make that taper pop. And now we're coming in with our Babyliss FX3 shavers to get it nice and close to the skin. And this is essential when doing any haircut that goes down to the skin, is to use the shaver because it'll allow it to last a little bit longer. Now after that, we're going to come in lever open on our clipper and go up about a finger's width. All that means is put your finger there and make sure the width of the line is the width of your finger. And now we're going to close that lever to get rid of that line in between the bald and open. And you'll see I'll start off closed and then open up the lever little by little, and we got it completely blended. Now we're going to move on to our one guard open and do the same thing. So with this one guard, the line won't be as distinct as the open was, because again, we knocked it down to a one guard open. So I'm coming in with that one guard open, using the corner of the blade to establish that line. And what that's going to help do is prevent from taking this taper up too high. Now right under that, I went ahead and closed the one guard, and this is going to lighten up the line in between the open and one open. And you'll see in between every pass of the clipper, I like to comb or brush the hair back in place, because a lot of times, especially when we're cutting a hair texture like this, when you come against the grain of the hair, you also lift the hair up. So in order to lay it back down, you have to brush or comb it back down. So you want to make sure that you're continuously doing that in the fading process. As you can see, we laid it back down with our comb. And now to clean up the top of this taper just a little bit, I grabbed my 1.5 closed, and that should pretty much bring everything together. And now after we complete the left side, we're going to move on to his right, which I told you guys is a little more challenging just because it's lighter in the arch area, and as well as the growth pattern of the hair grows backwards. But I'm going to show you guys how I tackle this. So I start off, same process, starting off with my bald line and then following it up with the shaver to clean up the bottom of that taper, make it nice and clean. Now we're going to open up that lever all the way with our JRL Onyx, and now we're going to come in and establish that next line, going up just slightly above that bald line. Still using the corner of the blade, because on this side I have to be careful to make sure that the arch area stays dark, because it's not as dense as the other side. And now we're getting rid of that line in between. Still brushing, making sure that we get the hair nice and laid. Now we're going to move on to our one guard with the lever open, doing the same exact thing as we did on the other side. And you can see as I pass the one guard open, the hair kind of bunches up and you can see the true growth pattern of it. So I'm using a lot of the corner of the blade in order to attack certain areas that may make the taper look inconsistent. So I'm combing and coming against it with my one guard closed here, trying to get this taper as stretched out and as blended as possible. And now we're grabbing our 1.5 again, just like we did on the other side, to make the transition into the sides a little bit cleaner. And now we're brushing it back down into place, and then we grabbed our half guard halfway, and then we'll open it up as we move higher up into the taper. And you can see the dark spot specifically towards the part where the arch is. So I'm doing my best to use the corner of the blade to blend that out. But after we go ahead and line it up, you'll really see the progress we made on the taper. So now I took the guard off and I used the corner. And now we're just going to move on to the neck taper and then detail at the end. So I'm coming in with my trimmer right below the bottom of the ear. And I'm going straight across here. And I'm allowing the weight of the trimmer to do the work because I don't want to cause too much irritation. And on this specific client, I'm able to use the shaver on the neck. Before, a lot of clients that have, coarse hair texture, the shaver causes irritation and bumps. But this client specifically does not, so I was able to use the shaver. Now we're going to move on to our lever all the way open, and we're going to go up about a finger's width. So I'm just making sure that I get a nice consistent line that I can see. For me personally, I know a lot of people like to move on without seeing their guideline, but my guidelines kind of give me a sense of peace, right? Because it just feels more organized. I just try not to make them too harsh. And now for the line in between, I'm coming in close and opening up that lever little by little. Now I'm lever all the way open once again. Then I closed it, and we're just closing and opening it as needed. And that line is pretty much blended. Now we're going to move on to our one guard with the lever open or lever closed. So on here I decided to go closed because, again, I feel like open wasn't going to take off much because it's only been a week. So I'm going to come in closed first and go up at that line just a little bit. And then you'll see me open up that lever all the way and take it up even a little higher. So right there, I opened it up all the way. And we're going slightly higher into that taper, and we're going to brush everything down. And you can see after we brush everything down, it lays nicely. It's starting to blend nicely. And now I'm going to flip that one guard around and go with the grain to smooth it back down. Now to get rid of that last line, I'm going to grab my half guard with the lever all the way open. And this is really going to finish off that taper. So I noticed right away that open wasn't going to get rid of much, so I closed it halfway. And we're going to start flicking out that line little by little. Now we're lever closed. And we're just working with that half guard, seeing what works and what doesn't, trying to attack those dark spots. And now we're going to get into the nape lineup. So for the nape lineup, I always like to use the razor comb behind the ear, specifically on this hair texture, because I feel like it lays it down nicely. Now we're going to start lining up the neck. So I'm starting at the bottom, and then I'm going to go to the top, and I'll meet those 2 points in the middle. And that's going to allow me to get a nice crisp neckline. without pushing up behind the ear, you know, an over excessive amount. So I'm being sure to be careful there, and then I'm going to connect those 2 points in the middle, and that is how I get that crisp neckline. And you can see after we line up the neck taper, it really comes together. It really makes it pop. That's what I really like about tapers, is the lineup is like the finishing touch to everything. And you also want to be sure to comb behind the ear, or really when you're doing any lineup, because you want to make sure that when the client goes home and brushes their hair, that there's no overhanging hairs, you know, on that line. So now I'm cleaning up the bottom, and that taper is looking tough. My trimmers are zero gapped, if you guys are wondering as well. And now we're going to get into the lineup on the front. So with the front lineup, I always like to start with the vertical bar and the arch first, because if I'm able to match both sides when it comes to the vertical bar and arch, I feel like it's a lot easier to make the front lineup straight as well. So I'm starting at the vertical bar, then the top of the arch and the bottom, and meeting those 2 points in the middle. Very similar to how I lined up his neck. And now we're going to shave the hair right under it. And as you can see, it really brings that taper together. It comes to life. Now we're going to go to the other side and do the same thing, starting at the bottom of the nape or the neck. And then we'll go to the top and connect those 2 points in the middle. And at this point in the haircut, we're framing out everything, right? We painted our picture, we put the blend on the canvas. Now we're going to come in and frame it out with our lineup. Now after we line it up, we're going to comb those hairs down once again to make sure that we don't have any overhanging hairs, because again, the haircut is all in the details. So always try to be as detailed as you can, you know, while doing your haircut. The client might not notice what you're doing, but say if they are to go to another barber, they're going to notice, like, man, I didn't notice that my barber was doing this, but my haircut lasts a little bit longer, you know. So those little details do matter. And same on this side, vertical bar and then the arch. But you can see in the arch and vertical bar area, the hair is a lot lighter because it grows backwards as opposed to laying straight forward. So the hair might be the same exact length, but just because of the direction in which it's growing, it appears a lot lighter. So now I'm trying my best to comb those hairs down without forcing them, and I'm going to reline it. And we're trying our best to just frame out this taper, give them a nice clean line. And now for the front lineup, I always like to spray it with alcohol and then wipe. And what that's going to do is get rid of any oils on the skin that might affect how crispy we're able to get this hairline. So we're just wiping away all that excess natural oils. And now we're going to blow dry the lineup with cool air, just to make sure that we're able to freeze everything in place. There's no sweat on our client's forehead. And that's good prep that I like to do in order, you know, to do a lineup. So now for the lineup, we're going to start in the middle and work our way towards the left. And I don't know if you guys noticed throughout this tutorial that my client has a very large widow's peak. So we do cut that off, so when it regrows, you can see the regrowth. But we're starting in the middle of that hairline and working towards his corner. And if we weren't to cut off that widow's peak, it would give his hairline kind of that V or that Vegeta look. And that's what we don't want. We want to have a straight, symmetrical lineup. I know some people like that. Me personally, I don't like that. This client doesn't either. So we do cut his widow's peak off. And as you can see, all we did was clean up that front lineup and got it straight and sharp. And now we're going to go towards his right corner, do the same thing, combing those hairs back down in place. Starting in the middle and working our way towards that corner, keeping it as natural as we can, while at the same time getting it as sharp and as symmetrical as we can. And little by little, step by step, this haircut is coming together. Now I'm combing it once again to get rid of all those hairs that might hang over. And in this haircut, we are going to go ahead and enhance it up to darken up the lineup. So after I make sure that it's crispy naturally, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that it's crispy with color as well. And now I'm going to use my enhancement card and place it right on the lineup that we already did. And the enhancement card is just to make sure that the color sprays directly where we want it and not all over the forehead. So I'll spray it on lightly and then darken it up as needed. So I'm spraying it on, pulling it away, and then spraying more if I feel necessary. And now we're going to go to the other side and do the same thing. And this is the barber plug enhancement card. If you guys are interested in purchasing one, hit the link in the description. Go to barberplug.com and use code JClipperHands at checkout, and we got you with the discount. So now after we go ahead and apply our enhancement, because like I said, the card is to go ahead and make sure that we don't overspray, but there might be some. So we're going to use the razor to bring everything to the line. And I applied shaving gel on the widow's peak because the widow's peak tends to be very thick or dense. So I don't want to cut or tug more than I have to. So I'm using shave gel in that specific area in order for the razor to glide nicely. And as you can see, man, this lineup is hitting, especially from this angle. So I'm stretching the skin in the opposite direction, and then I'm coming against with the razor. And this is getting rid of all those little hairs the trimmer couldn't quite get all the way down to the skin. Now we're going to do the same thing to the vertical bar. And now on the other side, stretching the skin, coming against it with the razor. And the taper with the enhanced lineup with the waves, this cut is going crazy. This is definitely one of my favorite parts of the haircut. It's like the cherry on top. You just get to admire your work and put the finishing details on it. And now what I like to do is use the shaver to go ahead and get any overhanging hairs. Now I'm not pressing down hard with the shaver, I'm letting it glide over the top. And this is the same thing as coming in with your scissors or freehanding with your clippers. Now we're going to spray it with some oil sheen, give it some nice shine, some more polished look. Now we're going to brush everything in. And this haircut right here was very successful. You guys really don't know how often you need a haircut until you actually get a haircut a week after and you're like, dang, I needed that. But this is how I did a nice mid taper, knock down the waves to clean it up. Fam, this video helped you in any way, shape, or form. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and leave a comment down below. And you always want to finish off the haircut with a nice smelling aftershave, so that's what we did right here. But go ahead and watch this commercial for me, y'all. What up, Will?
What up, Dre?
What's
going on, man?
Good, good. Hey, what up, Zay? Alright, bro. I'm ready for you. Man, Zay, you alright, bro?
I just ain't feeling it, bro.
Don't worry, bro. I got something for you. Check this out.
What's this supposed to do for me?
Bro, trust me. Just put it on. Man, bro, so how you feel?
I ain't gonna lie, I feel good. I'm ready to cut.
Go ahead and take this walk in.
Let's get it.
I see that shirt you got on, man.
Yeah, man, I was having a rough day, but definitely switched the mood up.
All right, then.
Dang, Zay, that haircut fire, bro.
Thank you, bro.
So how'd it feel?
Man, felt amazing.
Yeah, you know I got you, man.
Yes, sir.
Hey, bro. Can I get one of those?